actually hurt.
No, I think she is.
Yeah, she's hurt. She took a hard fall off there. Boy, gosh, I hope she's okay.
All right, the Grape Lady brings you in on another edition of the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD. You know, it's fun as we do this platform now that has the video here on YouTube, is that I would always get this on the radio. What is that from? When we play the audio. Now, for those listening on Apple and Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, you may still not know. Just go check out the video on YouTube, Puck Sports, and you can see the actual video of the woman on the morning news trying to stop grapes. I don't know why I laugh. I just laugh every time I see it. I know for some of you, maybe you don't like it. I get it. Just understand, it makes this guy laugh. It's just the thing I need in the morning to laugh. I need lots of things to laugh, but I need that to laugh. All right, welcome in. As I mentioned, the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD, Puck Sports, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you find your podcast. We release this every day, Monday through Friday, just to get you ready for the day, recap the world of sports, whatever's going on here. We do it every day at 10 a.m. Then again, all of our interviews will release at 1 o'clock. It is Wednesday, April 24th. That means it's baseball. So interviews coming up later today with Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times, brought to you by Chalet Bowl, and of course, the good-looking, the slender. He is a 2-handicap. I don't know. I could be making that up. The great Brad Adam from Root Sports, brought to you by John Howie Steak. The best thing about Brad, we were supposed to, you'll find out later in the pod, there was a different time that we were going to tape here on Wednesday, and then Brad said, I've got an appointment. I'm going to let Brad tell everybody why he couldn't do his normal time on Wednesday. And we had to move his schedule around. And I had to move Divish's schedule around for the great Brad Adam. Again, as always, we appreciate you. Please, on all these platforms, especially if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, please rate the show, subscribe to the show, send it to friends and family members. Please comment away. It just helps us kind of move up in the rankings of all the podcasts. We need the help. We need the promotion. It'd be greatly appreciated. Pass it on to strangers. You're getting coffee here. I'm enjoying my morning coffee. There you go. Still looking for a coffee sponsorship. You got a local coffee house, roaster house? Let me know. Puck at pucksports.com. I'll reach right back out to you. Pass it on to a stranger at the coffee shop. Hey, have you heard about this new podcast? It's catching on. All right, YouTube, of course, the comment section always open. Please leave a comment here on the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD. All right, NFL draft coming up on Thursday. We start there. We're going to talk about the Mariners, some news on the Cougs, Reggie Bush, NBA last night, and a Ballard Little League update from your favorite team that all you've been following, Fischer Plumbing. Of course, the draft gets underway on Thursday. A quick reminder, NFL Draft Show, Thursday, live on YouTube, Puck Sports, live on X at Puck 2040. If you're not following, please follow. You'll find all the news, information about just the show, what we're doing, what we're planning at Puck 2040 on Twitter, I should say X, right? What are we having on Thursday? No one, and I'm going to repeat this, I'm going to hammer this home. No one is going to have anywhere the inside access that we're going to have. Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network is going to be on the show. He is going to be live inside the War Room in Los Angeles, being able to tell us what is going on immediately. Now, there's going to be some picks that he can't tip right away, but I'll just tell you this. Mike has got access to something that and will be able to give us some information that nobody else in this market's going to be able to get. All right? He's going to be in the War Room, NFL Network Studios. He's going to be with us on Thursday pretty much for the entire first round. And again, for the one person that texted me on the thing that the poster that we put out, a big shout out to my buddy Chris Haynes for doing that. The poster we put out where we are promoting everyone that's coming up, and they said, well, where are you at? I mean, I'm hosting it. I think it's pretty obvious, but yes, I will be there to host Puck's Draft Watch Party coming up on Thursday, YouTube. And also on X, just search Puck 2040 there on social media. So Garafolo is going to be inside the War Room. in Los Angeles, NFL Network Studios, giving you the very latest with the picks and the trades. Rob Staton, SeahawksDraftBlog.com. He does the very best breaking down the Seahawks. No one is better in this market than doing it. He'll join us right off the top of the show at 5 o'clock, give us his thoughts for about a half an hour before we cut him loose, and he's got his responsibilities at SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Go read it there. He's got great information. We're going to touch on it in a quick second. Then we will go live to the Virginia Mason Athletic Center. Bob Condotta, Seattle Times, Tim Booth, Associated Press, and Curtis Crabtree. The cool thing that we're going to have also on the live feed on Thursday on YouTube and again on X. I'll just keep repeating that. And I'll send a link out. You, the listener and follower, get to be a part of it. I'll send a link out, and you'll be able to join the chat. You'll be able to ask us questions. But the really, really cool thing on the platform I use to put out the video, you are going to be able to do like live call-ins, old school like radio, but in this new digital world, is where if you would like to ask a question or be involved in the show at some point, especially when you get later in the draft, maybe after the Seahawks pick, and you want to react to it, there's going to be a place in the chat room where you can just identify, I would like to ask a question. I would like a video question. It's just like phone calls. I accept you, put you up. You are your beautiful face, sitting on your couch, drinking your beer, eating your chips, going to be able to ask me or with Condotta, all of our guests, a question. We'll throw you up there. Now, just don't swear, please. Keep it to a minimum. And here's the best part, because it's like radio. You know, when you'd call it a radio show and then there'd be the feedback and the host would say, hey, can you turn down your radio? You don't hear us. You kind of have to do the same thing with this. So I'll explain it more. We'll send out a link. But yes, and I want you guys to be interactive in this thing. Big time. And especially with this new video feature where you can actually be a part of the live broadcast. I think it'd be really cool to get your reaction. Nobody else is doing this. All right, we're going to the fans. Your reaction coming up on Thursday. We'll probably open that up after the Seahawks pick, and they pick probably 7 o'clock. Probably the draft starts at 5, and 16th pick is usually around 7 o'clock. So we'll send that out there. All you do is you click the link. You can be in the chat. We'll invite you in, and then if you'd like to be invited to ask a question, I punch it. Boom, you pop up, and there you are on the live feed asking us a question or reacting to what the Seahawks did. All right, well, there's a story that came out, and please go read it. Rob's piece at SeahawksDraftBlog.com. He just recently did an interview with Tony Pauling, and Tony's been covering the NFL and the NFL draft for years. And Tony brought it up to Rob about a potential issue with one of our favorite players. Guy that we have been talking about forever. And that would be Troy Fautanu, the outstanding lineman for the Huskies, who is one of the best offensive linemen in the draft. Certainly, we've all watched him up close and personal, one of the best linemen. That apparently there's a knee issue with Troy. Now, I don't know if this is smokescreen. I wouldn't put it past teams to throw something out there like this to maybe get other teams scared. It's a pretty crappy thing to do to a guy to be thrown. Hey, well, he's got a knee issue, so don't draft him. But this is a crazy world, the NFL and the draft. They will say anything to get a player to drop to them. So I'm a big conspiracy theory guy. I'm kind of holding out hope that this is some issue, that this isn't really real, or they're making out his knee issue to be a bigger issue than it really is. But again, it could be something that's much bigger. Albert Breer picked it up as well and said that the knee by the doctors has been flagged. It's been described as a short-term problem, but it could impact his longevity. Take it for what it's worth. Guys lie and deceive all the time at this time of year in the draft. Again, I'm crossing my fingers that this is another scenario and case where someone's trying to deceive somebody else in the draft. Maybe this is coming from the Seahawks. Who knows? It could. And they want Troy Fautanu to drop. I still think now, if there is just more smoke coming out here before we get to Thursday, then I think they'll have to reevaluate whether they would take him. I would still take the kid at 16. I just think he's a stud. And no one's going to know him. I mean, I know the doctors know him well, but no one's going to know him better than Scott Huff, his offensive line coach with the Seahawks now, and was his offensive line coach at UW. And then Ryan Grubb, who was his coordinator. He's in their backyard. They can talk to him. But just let's hope that it's okay. Because, the part of the reason they would consider taking him, one, because they can move him inside, but also it's an insurance policy for Abe Lucas. And Abe Lucas, as we've talked about many times on this program, has been dealing with a knee injury himself that hasn't just gotten any better. So I'm just hoping that it's not that serious, that this is all BS coming from another team. And if Fautanu is still there at 16, again, said it yesterday, I'm running up to the podium. I'm grabbing him. John Schneider. Of course, this is his draft, first draft without Pete Carroll. We have long kind of debated, discussed, when it comes to the draft, who really did have the final say. Now, most everyone's going to say, and it's always kind of been at least publicly talked about, that this is John's call. I mean, John gets the draft. But Pete Carroll was the president of football operations, the title now that John Schneider has. So if he ever wanted to overrule John Schneider, he certainly could have. It was his call. He was above him and could. This is now a draft, the first one without him. How will the draft look different? I don't know. I'm intrigued as hell for Thursday to see if this looks any different than it has in the past, or does it just kind of remain the same and we just don't learn anything new about John Schneider, that what we've learned from him for the past 10 plus years, or longer than that this is the guy and this is his draft philosophy. Now, have the drafts been good? Not particularly, except for the last 2 years. But there was a story that just came out. If you follow Over the Cap, Jason, who writes for Over the Cap, had a tweet that came out Wednesday morning, and it said, now again, this doesn't take into account the last 2 years of the draft, or last couple of years of the draft, but from 2011, if you're watching, I'm rubbing my right bicep because I'm a weak person. Okay, listener, I'm a weak person. And because I throw so much BP to a bunch of 11-year-olds, my arm hurts. Okay, I've got arm fatigue. I'm Kirby. I got arm soreness, so I got to rub it. All right, I'm pathetic. God, I'm a weak man. From 2011 to 2019, he did a look at teams that have drafted the best in terms of second contracts versus the first contract average per year. So you draft a guy, and then they get a second contract, and that usually establishes that you drafted well, and then they end up getting a second contract with you. Here were the top 5 teams that Jason at Over the Cap came up with from 2011 to 2019. Okay, number 5 were the Chiefs, number 4 were the Rams, number 3 were the Bills, number 2 were the Texans, kind of surprising, and then number 1 were the Baltimore Ravens. New head coach Mike Macdonald, of course, coming over from the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the 5 worst. Bucks number 5. Raiders number 4. Jets 3. Seahawks 2. Browns 1. So according to this research from Over the Cap Jason at Over the Cap, from 2011 2019, the Seahawks were the second worst team in terms of players drafted, teams with the best drafts in terms of the second contracts versus the first contracts, which is, you look at it, you hear that, it doesn't sit well with you, right? Then you go back and look at the drafts for the Seahawks the last few years. Now, I'll contend last year's class, okay, it's still up in the air, but there's nothing I think we saw from Devin Witherspoon that you don't like. I don't think there's anything from Jackson Smith and Jigba you don't like. Okay, Derek Hall hasn't proven himself yet. Certainly liked what they got out of Zach Charbonnet. Not quite sold yet on Anthony Bradford or Cam Young or Mike Morris. Those guys like the Bradford, Young, Morris, Oluwatimi, Reed McIntosh haven't made their impact yet on the football team. I'm still holding out hope for Oluwatimi that he's can be the center for this team eventually. So I'd look at Witherspoon, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. I throw Charbonnet in there. And I do like a little bit of what we've seen from Derek Hall. I think that last year's draft was good, especially with what you got from Witherspoon. If you look at 2022, so 2 years ago, Charles Cross has been solid. Boye Mafe has been solid. Kenneth Walker's been good. Abe Lucas, when healthy, and that's the one, bugaboo with Abe is that he just hasn't been healthy, or at least he's had an issue with the knee last year. But Abe Lucas has been solid. Kobe Bryant's been good. You got Reek Woolen in the 5th round. Now, I know it was an up-and-down season, more down last year for Reek, but you got him in the 5th round, so you're good with that one. 2021 was just a wash. I mean, that's D. Eskridge, Trey Brown, and Storm Forsythe, so that's not good. 2020, we look at the 2020 draft. Jordan Brooks, no longer with the team. Darrell Taylor's been a disappointment. Damian Lewis is okay. Colby Parkinson, gone. DJ Dallas, Alton Robinson, Freddie Swain, and Steven Sullivan. So, I don't know. I don't think 2020 was a good draft. 19? Okay, 19 gets you Collier, no longer with the team. Blair, no longer with the team. Metcalf, okay, you nail Metcalf. So you get DK in the 2nd round. Other than that, I mean, it's Gary Jennings Jr., it's Phil Haynes, Ugo Amadi. I mean, that was the draft in which you took Cody Barton in the 3rd round. You took Ben Burke-Kirven in the 5th round. It also included Travis Homer, DeMarcus Christmas. Okay, other than DK, that's not a good draft. 18, here's your draft. Here are your picks. Penny, Green, Disley, Shaquem Griffin, Trey Flowers, Michael Dixon, Jamarco Jones, Jacob Martin, Alex Magoo. Okay, Michael Dixon, you got a punter in 18. 17, another just poor draft. That's Malik McDowell, Ethan Posick, Shaquille Griffin, Lane O'Hill, Nas Jones, Darbo, Thompson, Tyson, Justin Sr., David Moore. I mean, I remember that draft and covering it, and you thinking they drafted the second coming of the Legion of Boom. Well, that didn't turn out to be the case in 17. You got nothing out of 17. For the most part, you got nothing out of 16. Because that's Jermaine Ifedi, Jaron Reed, CJ Prosize. God, did I love me some CJ Prosize. There was no one a bigger fan than CJ Prosize. Why did I like him so much? I don't know. It was those 2 games, wasn't it? Eagles and Patriots. You got nothing out of 16. 2015, you get Clark, but again, you end up trading him. Lockett's been a home run, rock solid. Terry Poole. You get Mark Lewinsky in the 4th round, and then you don't keep him. So you miss out on Mark Lewinsky. So that's going to 15. And then I don't think we need to go back to 14 and 13. The point being here, the jury's still out on last year. I like the 2022 draft, but after that, I mean, from 21, 20, 19, 18, and 17, I mean, they're poor drafts. There's just no other way to get around it. Those drafts were poor by the Seahawks and poor by John Schneider. This year is massive for him. He's got to nail this draft. He's got to continue to get this team better because that's the lifeblood of any NFL team. I don't think it's so much to say his career is on the line, but he can't go too many more where they're not getting better through the draft, significantly better through the draft. What will Mike McDonald's impact be on it? I don't know. I don't know how much impact he had when he was with the Ravens. I mean, he might take some information and guys that he likes and maybe some things that the Ravens did, but I don't think he'll have much say or much sway what's going to go on in the draft. I think this is going to be John Schneider and his crew. But it's a big next few days starting on Thursday for John Schneider, where his career, where they're going to go as an organization. But again, check it out. Live show Thursday, Puck's Draft Watch Party. Again, Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network will be on for basically the entire show inside a war room in Los Angeles where he sees all the picks and trades and everything. Rob Staton, Seahawks Draft Blog, right off the top of the show for half an hour. Then we go to the VMAC. Bob Condotta, Seattle Times, Tim Booth, the Associated Press, Curtis Crabtree from Fox 13. They'll join us around 6 o'clock, stay on for about half an hour or so. We'll cut them loose because the pick's coming up at 7 o'clock. Once they make the pick, hopefully at 16, they don't trade down at 7 o'clock. Again, as I mentioned before, I'm just going to repeat it one more time. There's a chance for you guys to interact on the live broadcast. There'll be a chat room set up. I'll send out a link through the recording program I use. And then, because I know there's another chat room on when you're watching on YouTube. This is a separate one. Because then on that same link in that chat room that I'll send out, you will be able to actually do like a live call-in. And you'll be able to go on video and react to what the Seahawks did. I think it'd be awesome. Your draft party, go nuts, pound a beer, do whatever you want. Just don't swear. And I know we could swear on the damn thing, but just don't swear. All right. What do we got quickly? Mariners, great game last night. Boy, was that not just exactly how the Mariners have played over the last few years? Like when things are going great for them and they're playing good baseball, that's how it looks. Home runs, your best player on your team finally gets off the schneid, hits a 2-run home run, was just flipping majestic. What he hit. Cal Raleigh is on just a heater right now. 4th home run in his last 5 games. Big Dumpers hit 271. Classic game last night. 4-0. Great pitching. Great bullpen. You got your runs via the home run ball. 12-11 on the season. It's a miracle. They're in first place in the West. Julio gets his first long ball. We just mentioned that. Good for Julio. Damn near. I mean, hey, Julio. Buy the Trident dinner first before you just make out with it and grope the damn thing. But that was a real cool scene just watching him because it's a weight lifted off his shoulders. You know, he knows that he hasn't hit a home run, obviously. He wants to get off. He wants to get off the mat. And I finally did. And generally when guys do this, they start to come in bunches. So we'll see if it starts to come in bunches for Julio. Gilbert just solid again, man. Remember when there used to be this Gilbert Kirby camp? I'm in the Kirby camp, but hey, you all out there in that Gilbert camp, you all may be right. 6 2/3, 6 strikeouts, couple of hits, all that we've given up. Walked a few guys, but whatever. That's uncharacteristic there of Gilbert. 2-0 now on the season with a 1.87 ERA. Guys are hitting 161 off him. He has 35 walks, or excuse me, that would be a lot. 35 strikeouts and 8 walks. Here's a stat that is just amazing. I think this is from the Mariners PR. Alex Meyer and their staff did a great job. He's 31-0 when the Mariners score 3 runs or more for him. It's just ridiculous. It's just remarkable. 31-0. Man, he's just dominant. A quick shout out to Josh Rojas. I think we've given Rojas a little bit of love, but let's give him some love. That double in the 3rd, and then Julio hits the 2-run shot. Ross hitting 306. I mean, he's still a work in progress at 3rd, but his bat's been good. It's been real good. So shout out to Rojas, man. Keep it going. Good 8th, I thought, by Gabe Speier. Kind of an under the radar moment in the game, sequence in the game. I mean, it's 4-0, so it's still with Texas's power in that ballpark. They can certainly come back in the game. But he comes in the 8th inning and he strikes out swinging Marcus Semien. He gets Corey Seager to line out, and then he strikes out Evan Carter looking. The story is Julio and Cal and Gilbert, but man, don't let that 8th inning by Gabe Speier go unnoticed. I mean, and a lot of ink for Gabe Speier. I mean, let's go. Jesus, man. He's inked all over the place. Bryce Miller and old Johnny Gray will get at it today on a Wednesday. We'll have more baseball here at Puck Sports and, of course, YouTube and Apple and Spotify coming up later as we do our baseball guests, local baseball guests here on Wednesday's edition of the radio program. Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times and Brad Adam of Root Sports coming up a little bit later. All right, college football news and notes. Cougs and Virginia announced a home in football. Starting next year, the Cougs are going to travel to Charlottesville. Cavaliers scheduled to come back in 31. I'm going to guarantee you right now, University of Virginia will not come to Pullman in 2031. The really cool thing about Cougs, the Cougs taking on Virginia, when they go there next season, I'm going to go to this game because I've always wanted to go to Charlottesville. And I can't wait to be sitting in the stands. Because one thing I've always wanted to hear when you go to a football game at the University of Virginia is when they play, of course, as everyone knows, Enter Sandman. I did a dramatic pause. Just so for all of you listening and watching right now, all are screaming at the video and on your podcast, Apple, Spotify, where you're driving or listening at home, mowing the lawn, you're yelling at me. That's not the University of Virginia that does it. You don't say. It's one of the highlights of the radio career. For those who don't remember the story, I don't know if you can find it anywhere. I mean, I certainly can't play it on this platform. Jim and I interviewed Joey Blunt. Okay. I don't know if Joey Blunt's still on the Seahawks team. Is he? I'm not sure. Joey Blunt got drafted by the Seahawks. Joey Blunt plays for the University of Virginia. We had Joey on the show. And leading up to the interview, I had written out, or just, we were all write down show notes, and I was thinking, I'm gonna ask him a question. Because he just played, I think it was after the Monday night game against Denver. And I was gonna ask him, you've played in some loud environments. Where do you think CenturyLink on that Monday night game, or that game against Denver, rank for you? Is it higher? Was it louder than when you would come out of the tunnel to enter Sandman? And I totally forgot. And I just had Virginia in my mind. And of course, and I know it's Frank Beamer and Virginia Tech. I knew it. But for some reason, I just had Virginia, and I'm just thinking, oh yeah, everybody does it. And God bless Joey Blunt. Because that guy, he took it in stride and just said, yeah, I mean, he kind of chuckled. Well, they're all loud, but yeah, I went to Virginia, not Virginia Tech. I don't know if there's anything in the background. I think maybe the Coug helmet over there that's red. I don't think my face has ever turned more red than that moment. And the laughter on old Jim Moore's face. Because I thought it was such a cute little line. Oh, he's going to love this question. He's going to love this little tidbit I brought up. I wanted to crawl in a freaking hole because I was so embarrassed and such an idiot. But that's okay. We like to make fun of ourselves. I like to make fun of myself all the time. I mentioned this on social media yesterday. Jim and I were going back and forth on it. And God bless you, all the people that said, because I made a joke, hey, the good news that we're going to go play Virginia next year is we get to hear Enter Sandman. And the hundreds of you that replied, that's Virginia Tech. Yeah, I know, but it's good. Just keep them coming. Keep them coming. I am, when I go to the game next season with my Coug gear on to watch them play in Charlottesville, because I've always wanted to go there, I am going to turn around, hopefully sitting by Virginia people, and go, hey, when is the Enter Sandman going to start? Just for my humor. I know I'm not that funny, and it just amuses me. All right? But cool. It'd be fun to go there. It'd be fun to travel. I love those. We need more of this in college football. We need way more of it. Reggie Bush got his Heisman Trophy back today on Wednesday. What took these idiots so long? That was the dumbest thing in the world. O.J. Simpson got to keep it. But yet we pulled it away from Reggie Bush. So dumb. He took it away because when he was in college, and now today, think about if we had he got it taken away because his family took $100,000. And there was a house in San Diego. Can you imagine if he played today, if we had the rules today in college football back then? He's not. Think of the course of some careers that change. If NIL was in the works or was a part of college football back then when Reggie Bush played, is there any Pete Carroll in Seattle? I don't know. I don't think so. Pete Carroll never leaves. Pete Carroll probably stays at USC for a few more years and waits to take another job. Probably wants to get back to the NFL for sure, but not then. Not at that moment. Probably wants to stay at USC for maybe a 1 or 2 more years. And then maybe another job comes up. I mean, the thing about Pete Carroll is he left USC because he knew the sanctions were coming down on Reggie Bush. But if NIL were intact then, this would have, first of all, $100,000 would have been nothing. Can you imagine what Reggie Bush would make at NIL today? When I heard that Will Rogers, the new quarterback for UW, and God bless him, is making $750,000. Will Rogers is making $750,000 to play quarterback. He might not even be the best quarterback on the team. It might be the freshman kid. What do you think? Leave a comment. What do you think Reggie Bush would be valued at NIL? I'd say at least $3 million, maybe more. At least. If Will Rogers is getting that and Michael Penix and Bo Nix were getting over $1 million, and I think Caleb Williams was, I know, over $1 million, like 2? There was rumors of 2 and 3. I don't know, $5 million for Reggie Bush? I think he was the best. He was the most exciting college football player I've ever seen. NBA last night, I won't bore you with the details. T-Wolves, they go up 2-0. I just love Anthony Edwards. He's just love everything about how he plays. Jaden McDaniels, the former Husky, he played great yesterday. He was kind of the star of the game for the T-Wolves, 25 points, 8 boards. So they got a commanding lead. They're going to probably sweep that series. Pacers have evened up their series with the Bucks. Damian Lillard couldn't carry him again. Giannis doesn't look like he's going to play in this series at all. At least there's really no indication of it that he's going to play. Mavs evened up their series with their dynamic duo, 96-93, the victory there yesterday. Therefore, the Mavs, obviously, Luka was great. Kyrie was great. On Wednesday tonight, we got Heat and Celtics with Boston up 1-0 on that one. And then the Thunder take on the Pelicans. And the old Dust Bowlers are up 1-0. Iconic Sonics podcast is out. I had a few people ask, hey, where is it on your platform? It's not a me production, the Iconic Sonics podcast, our interview, first episode with George Karl. I'm teaming up with Iconic Sonics podcast on some projects here in the future. Our first episode dropped this week with George Karl. He talks about his visit back to Oklahoma City. He talked about the state of the NBA now, how he would defend players nowadays. It's a really cool conversation. Please go check it out on all their platforms, Apple, Spotify, Iconic Sonics podcast. It's their platform. I'm just hosting some shows. I'm just hosting shows for them. So I just had a few people ask me, hey, where can I find it on your site? It's not on my site. Again, Iconic Sonics podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your platforms. I mean, high praise for Jokic, high praise for Jamal Murray. It's really cool. Lastly, quick update on the Fischer Plumbing boys. I don't have the plunger with me. We've dropped 2 straight. We've been handed it to us a few times. We lost a tough one last night up on the beautiful field of Bayview, Magnolia, with the downtown and the background of Mount Rainier. If anybody's familiar with Magnolia, what a squad that Magnolia crew's got. We dropped a tough one. It was a good game back and forth. One tough inning, ended up losing there in the 5th inning, 17-9. Hey, Magnolia, if you're listening, we're probably pretty popular in Magnolia. What a factory. What the hell are you guys doing up there? How are you producing so many good baseball players? And why are they bigger than adults? What's going on up there? Huh? Anybody? Am I checking birth certificates next time? I haven't seen 11 and 12-year-olds this big in my life. Massive. God, they're good. Very, very good. Baseball team and baseball players up there in Magnolia. But don't worry, Fischer Plumbing back at it on Saturday. We're 3-5 on the season. We'll get back, okay? The plunger will be coming back. Plunger always comes when we score runs, but it's coming back, all right? All right, that's it for the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I appreciate it. It's awesome. I love connecting with you guys every single day. Coming up on Wednesday, again, Ryan Davis, Seattle Times, also Brad Adam of Root Sports. We'll talk to you soon. As always, we promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!